Hello, my name is Ethan Luft, and this is my presentation on the Sawtooth Mountains for Forestry 560. The Sawtooths are located in central Idaho, as can be seen on the map to the right, and they cover an area of roughly 1,756 kilometers. The highest point in the Sawtooths is Thompson Peak, which reaches a height of 3,276 meters above sea level, according to the Sawtooth Mountains page on visitidaho.org. The Sawtooths are home to two special designation areas, which are the Sawtooth National Recreation Area and the Sawtooth Wilderness, which combine to encompass the majority of the mountain range. The Sawtooths were formed in a similar way to most Idaho mountain ranges, by the Idaho batholith. The Idaho batholith was formed more than 50 million years ago when the Farallon Plate subducted under the North American Plate. This then caused the rock in the Farallon Plate to melt into magma, which eventually hardened into granitic rock under much of Idaho, according to DeGray, Ellis et al. In 2011. A map of the Idaho batholith can be seen to the right, with the Sawtooth Range being located near the southern end of the Atlanta lobe, which is in purple. Through millions of years of uplift and erosion around the area, the Sawtooths of today were formed. The Sawtooth Mountains have also been impacted by glaciers throughout the ice ages of the last 50 million years or more. While the Sawtooths do not have any glaciers today, they are believed to have existed as recently as the Little Ice Age, which ended in roughly 1850, according to Cannon in 2011. These glaciers impacted the mountains by creating hundreds of glacial valleys and lakes, including the famous Redfish Lake, according to the Redfish Lake Lodge's Our History page. The Sawtooth mountain range runs slightly north-south, but is largely round, with no clear aspect that applies to the whole mountain range. Although this area does experience earthquakes from nearby faults, they do not affect the formation of the mountains. The climate in the Sawtooth Mountains is extremely harsh, with winters oftentimes getting more than 6 feet of snow, and temperatures may not get above freezing for months on end, according to the Stanley, Idaho Climate Summary by the Western Regional Climate Center. Even in the summers when the days are warm, nights may still get below freezing, and summer frosts are not uncommon. According to the Sawtooth National Forest and Science page, the Sawtooths only get an average of 13 inches of precipitation, which almost all falls as snow, as the summers are very dry. The warming climate of the region may cause problems with decreasing and unstable snowpack, which may lead to avalanches and water shortages. Plants and animals may also move up in elevation to maintain their desired climate. The warming climate may also cause an increase in wildfires and the lengthening of fire season, as fuels will be drier and fall precipitation may not come till later, extending the season. Although the Sawtooths have been important to most every culture to have inhabited the area, these mountains do not carry as much cultural value as some other mountain ranges. The first Native Americans to inhabit this region were the Nez Perce and Northern Shoshone tribes. These tribes used the area to hunt and fish, specifically fishing for salmon as they arrived in Redfish Lake, according to the Stanley Chamber of Commerce. The Sawtooth Mountains are still a popular recreation area with thousands of visitors each year and holds cultural significance to many modern Americans as well due to their natural beauty. In order for any plant to survive in the alpine or subalpine environments of the Sawtooths, they have to have some adaptations to cold weather and high amounts of snow. The subalpine fir, Abies laciocarpa, is an excellent example of this. According to Alexander et al. And Uchtdil et al., two examples of morphological adaptations that subalpine fir have are winged seeds, which enable them to be easily spread by the high mountain wind, and cones that open up earlier in the fall than many other conifers, so that the seeds can be spread before there is too much snow. This enables subalpine fir to reproduce even in some of the harshest conditions in North America. In order for an individual tree to survive the harsh winters when all the available water is frozen, subalpine fir are able to slow down their photosynthesis by replacing some of their chlorophyll with xanthophyll in the winter months, according to Zarder et al. This allows the trees to use the water for other basic needs when it is very limited in the winter. This is an example of a physiological adaptation. Similarly to plants, the animals that inhabit the Sawtooths also must have many adaptations. The North American wolverine, Gulogulolus, is one of relatively few animal species in the Sawtooths that neither hibernates nor migrates out of the area in the winter. In order to survive the harsh winters, they have a number of adaptations. The most obvious adaptations are their morphological adaptations, which include large paws to walk on top of the snow, similar to snowshoes, and thick and warm and water-resistant fur to help keep them warm and dry, according to Harris et al. An example of a physiological adaptation that wolverines have is the ability to survive even when their internal body temperature drops from their normal 101 degrees down to just 60 degrees Fahrenheit, according to Thiel et al. 2019. Historically, the Sawtooth Mountains have had frequent wildfires. Historically, wildfires were great for the ecosystems of the sawtooths, as many species need wildfire in order to survive. An example of this is lodgepole pine, Pinus contorta, which needs fire in order to open its cones and spread its seeds. This is called cone serotiny. Fire was also beneficial by maintaining a mosaic pattern of vegetation, which is good for wildlife who use this as travel corridors. Since so much of the sawtooths are encompassed in wilderness and the Sawtooth National Recreation Area, anthropogenic disturbances in the form of developments are limited, but human-caused wildfires are a big issue. According to Aubrey 2024 and Bartlein et al. In 2011, the fire return interval used to be roughly 50 years before European settlement, but that has increased drastically due to fire suppression. This has led to an increase in fuels, which causes an increase in fire intensity and severity if suppression is not successful. Additionally, since fires are fewer and farther in between, they are often getting much bigger, such as the human-caused Wapiti fire of 2024, which burned more than 100,000 acres. The other primary sources of disturbance in this ecosystem are avalanches and wind events, both of which happen each year and will knock down trees and kill some vegetation, but have limited effects on the ecosystem as a whole, since they are typically localized, small disturbances. The Sawtooth National Recreation Area and Sawtooth Wilderness Area are both special status areas that are federally protected and managed as such. According to the Sawtooth National Recreation Area website, the S.N.R.A. is just over 300,000 hectares and features over 700 miles of trails and more than 300 lakes. The Sawtooth Wilderness is just over 87,000 hectares and is part of the S.N.R.A. Federal law prohibits the use of mechanical equipment in wilderness areas, which means no roads or even mountain bikes are allowed. Additionally, since being classified as wilderness, wildfires are sometimes allowed to burn if they are started naturally in wilderness areas. These special rules help conserve these areas for generations to come and keep them as natural and native as possible. These are the sources I used for this presentation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope everyone gets to experience the magic of the Sawtooth someday if you have not already.